Do you like your car so much you would actually buy another one? Well, guess what? I polled hundreds of different people, asked the question, would you in fact buy the car that you currently own, and what in fact is that? Let's get into it now. Life's too short to drive boring cars. The first one on my list is basically what we're looking at here, and I actually know several people that have owned these over the years. In fact, I know somebody who's owned even 3 of them, and some of which are actually rotted out because they were early 90s generation and they finally just give up the ghost in terms of the body, but the engine is still running ruthlessly. Some of the earlier generations had a 3-liter V6. Yeah, there were some issues with head gaskets. Replace that and you're good for 500,000 miles all day long. The latest generation here has a slightly larger engine with 270 horsepower, a smoother transmission, but still just as versatile and more reliable than ever. What we're looking at here is this glorious Toyota right here. As you can see, there's actually 2 of them parked next to each other, ready for your next buying enjoyment. Of course, they do have these very simplistic headlights, and they do have alloy wheels in modern day cars. Obviously, running boards for a lot of people who may not be as tall to get inside there. They do have these great real tail lights, towing capability in some generations. Of course, you have roof racks on both generations here, and you'll notice this style has a slightly revised different taillight configuration. They also have these great little overhangs at the back, and you'll notice very versatile, maximum space allowable because of their square back. Just means they're ultra versatile. They're also mounted on a truck type chassis. So you basically have a proper pickup truck body on steel frame, which means they're versatile, they're rugged, they're durable, they're not unibody construction, so these will stand up to the test of time. The beauty is oil changes and tires and brakes. That's all you'll ever have to do with these things. Every couple $100,000, you'll wind up having to do some major servicing, but there's never anything major that ever typically goes wrong with the Toyota 4Runners. As I say, it's usually only the body that starts letting go before that, but by that time you're so bored of it, you're handed it down to 2nd and 3rd generation. You no longer own it, you gave it to your kids who then have given it to their kids, and so on, because these vehicles just don't die. And that's why people would buy these again and again. And the next one on our list is this little hot rod right here, draped in yellow. Absolutely glorious. Now, this doesn't carry the Toyota level of reliability, but that doesn't matter. People love these, own these, buy these again and again for different reasons. And what is this? Well, what we're looking at here is clearly it's a Mustang, and it's obviously a Ford product. Not to say that these are particularly reliable. They're not terrible, but that's not why people buy them. Yeah, they have these really amazing looking headlights and a very aggressive looking front nose on them. Beautiful wheels. And this one has the 5-liter V8 engine. Coyote style in the house. Of course, right here you have these beautiful rear fender flares. You can see it's absolutely gorgeous and aggressive. Yes, a set of quad exhaust tips, and look at that beautiful rear splitter at the bottom. Gorgeous. This is the GT because it's the 5-liter, and they have those retro style taillights. This one has a wing and a great little stripe, makes it look like a bumblebee. But if you look inside, the interiors are better than many Ford products these days, and you can even get a manual gearbox in here, and that's why people love these. I can honestly tell you, Mustang owners are some of the most passionate car drivers you'll find anywhere. It's not about reliability, it's about the heritage, it's about the racing heritage and what Mustang owners actually appreciate. And it's the overall heritage from the 60s where Mustang originated. It's just that type of car. On top of that, you can get cars with a manual gearbox, rear-wheel drive. Clearly in this particular vehicle, that means it's essentially a muscle car. It looks great, it's powerful, it's quick, stylish, and it catches the eyes of many people on the street. So as you walk away from this car, when you just hit the remote and you're heading into the store, you're constantly looking back because you're in love with your car. That's why people buy the Mustang over and over and over and over and over and over. Another amazing vehicle is this little hot rod behind me here that a lot of people will buy over and over. In a lot of my communications, I come across a lot of people that say they own one and it just keeps going and they never do anything to it, just a little basic servicing and maintenance, and literally almost nothing goes wrong with them. And this is an older generation, and I'll show you a new one in a second here. Obviously, this one's all faded out because it's been on the road so long, and it is a Lexus product, as you can see. It's their mid-size SUV. Of course, this one here has some cutesy little wheels on there, little rock guards, and of course we have a basic set of mirrors and a simple set of Toyota handles. Look, roof rack on board, and they got this funny little wing here. Simpleton aftermarket looking tail lights on there, and oops, what happened there? But here's a new version of that same vehicle. And again, it's a Lexus, but we'll notice that this one has a lot more updates and detail, and it's a much sharper looking vehicle now. You have little vents and nice little finishing on the bottom with that beautiful fake chrome business, and this one's an RX 350. It's ultra reliable. Other than a few little nuances along the way, there was water pump issues with a few of them, and of course some of the high pressure variable valve timing VVTi lines that were known they needed an update. Get past that, these things were bulletproof beyond belief. And yeah, they have great style lines here. Look at that detail, that's gorgeous. Love that two-tone handle setup, and of course beautiful finishing there. Oh, I love the revised detail on that headlights. Now that front end is a little bit to be desired, but you do have LED lights and beautiful wheels on there. The interior is easily as good as an Audi or a modern day BMW. And so most people I've come across, because of Lexus being basically a spin-off of Toyota, they have trust, faith in the brand. They own it for 5 or 10 years. They realize they've done nothing but basic maintenance. They dive in again. And that's why Lexus and Toyota products are often an easy gamble. And with the 3.5 liter V6, you get a reasonable amount of performance with that. Get your merch at Exotic Car Play Place under Get Our Gear. You're gonna love it. Join the ECPP community. What we're looking at here are a couple of winners. These vehicles have chronic reliability just embedded with them. And we're looking at a Honda right here. Obviously a pair of Hondas, very, very similar. They're both CRVs, as you can tell, slightly different generations. Similar beautiful headlights on both particular models, and you'll notice this one has a little more aggressive front nose on it. You have beautiful wheels on there, and of course this one says CRV, just so there's no confusion. You have these beautiful little mirrors, and of course sunroof on top, so it's not just a pure bare bones vehicle. It's actually got some luxury buried inside. Both of them actually are the touring models. Great vehicles. Obviously you have some nice detail along the rocker panels here. Easy access handles, and a nice little roof rack that just carries your little extra projects. This is the black edition, and it is all-wheel drive. You have this nice, beautiful black trim, makes it look spanky. I've literally known so many people that have bought one of these, and then 200,000 later, they hand it to their kid, and then another 120,000 later, they hand it to another sibling, and it just gets handed through the family because these vehicles don't die, specifically if you go with certain engine configurations. What I would suggest is maybe stay away from the 1.5 liter turbo 4. They have some oil and fuel dilution issues that sometimes Honda's trying to work out, but for the most part, stick with the 2 liter or even better, the 2.4 liter naturally aspirated engine. Makes 166 horse. It's more than enough to skid up and go, and of course, maintenance and repair costs are almost nothing and negligible on these vehicles. These are easy to own, and that's why people just love them. They're just easy to keep around, and they don't really cost, and they're not a burden. So another popular brand that I've seen a lot of people buying over and over and over again, if they want to go away from something like a Toyota or a Honda like we just spoke of, it's this particular brand now because they've come up the ranks in terms of overall reliability. They're ruthless, and actually they're somewhat stylish, and they have a little more performance added to them in some cases than some of their competitors. A good friend of mine actually owns this exact vehicle. This is a Mazda, as you can see right here, and they've got the beautiful headlights on here, and it's a CX5. This is sort of their lower to mid-size SUV. Yes, they have nice plastic to keep the body panels protected from all the rocks on the road. Beautiful wheels, and look, more protection on the panels, so these wear very, very well. Of course, they got a basic set of taillights, nothing too fancy, and it's a CX5, and it's the all-wheel drive version by Mazda. And as I said, Skyactiv technology. Performance wrapped up. It's a great vehicle all the way around. You got a set of dual exhaust tips on there, and of course this beautiful overhang like most modern day SUVs, as the RAV4 beside it is almost identical. Of course, as you look up here, this one here has a little sunroof so you can enjoy your cake and eat it too, and the sunlight that comes into the cabin. I would say in most cases, Mazda actually has even nicer interior finishing than the competitors from both Honda and Toyota, and it almost feels borderline upscale. If you look at the interior, some great brushed aluminum, some beautiful looking either pleather or leather seats with contrast stitching, and an overall appealing place to sit and reside. I know the friend of mine, he's actually gone from some of the older generational Mazda SUVs, actually owned 2 of them, separate SUVs, and then moved into the CX5 and has never looked back. So I asked the question, what would you buy instead? He basically says, probably nothing else. I would probably buy another one or something similar, just because there's nothing else out there that does everything that needs to do. It's affordable, it's reliable, And honestly, taking a chance on anything else is just that, taking a chance and a gamble. So he's just willing to buy another Mazda, and so do a couple of other friends of mine. So it's clearly one of those vehicles that's easy to please the customers because it just does it so well. And the next one is this little hot rod right here. And a lot of people are very, very loyal to this particular brand. Well, what are we talking about here? And why, in fact, do people repeatedly buy these over and over again? I mean, everybody knows that clearly it's a BMW, and BMW aren't necessarily known for their overall high levels of reliability. Although they've gotten a lot better, that's not necessarily their game. Their game, in fact, is the driving experience because of the ultimate driving machine. But let's take a closer look. I mean, what we have here is the M4 Competition by BMW. It's got the big mouth grille right there that some love and some don't. Of course, we've got the laser LED headlights and those beautiful wheels, as you can see. What we're dealing with is the M4, which means it's a coupe. In this case, it's a cabriolet. As you can see, ragtop there. It does have these crazy vents on the sides and these beautiful mirrors. And come around to the back, they have a very stout and pronounced back finishing here. And of course, if you look down here, a very aggressive stance right there with massive exhaust pipes on the back. Lots of rear diffuser action right there. Very interesting looking design. And of course, love the rear taillight finish on here. That's clearly something latest from the latest and greatest of BMW. And the interior is absolutely juicy and delicious, high quality, beautiful fit and finish, and is absolutely luxurious and exotic by the very feel. So BMW is just one of those brands the enthusiasts love. The M cars, M3, M4, M5, those are the cars that keep bringing people over and over again. There's lots of tuning capability, and people are willing to throw lots of their hard-earned dollars at getting the cars more unique and faster. And that's why these cars are very, very sought after, and many people who buy these will buy the next and the next after that and the next after that. Whereas as opposed to the generic 3 Series parked next to it, those usually once and done. So you try it, you drive it for 5 years, you realize you take a beating on some of the maintenance, and you're all wrapped up. So it's the M cars specifically by BMW. Those are repeat vehicles. Another vehicle that's highly popular with a lot of buyers, and a lot of people I know would buy them over and over and over again. I even owned one years ago. I had a Jeep TJ, and obviously now they're not called TJs anymore. It used to be CJ, then YJ, then TJ. Now they're called Wranglers, and now we have this little Wrangler behind us here. It's a 4-door version, and these are the kind of vehicles that hold their value immensely. It's actually one of the best or least appreciating vehicles on the used car market, just because they're so popular. People want them. They're highly desirable and highly sought after. Now the worst part is they're not all that reliable. I mean, there are problems with the tip-em and throttle position sensors and battery drain and basically reliability, durability issues, death wobble, and I mean lots of little problems, nickel and dime, of course. But people still love them, and they're willing to pay just about anything for them. And of course, people like them because they look rugged like that. And you got this extra wheel that allows you to change that on the trail as you want to get down to business. Of course, you have these great little overhangs here. Some of them are painted, some of them are plastic, so they look great. Here it's a very rugged rocker panel here on this Jeep Wrangler. Of course, they have these basic little mirrors. And look, this is, again, as I mentioned, the 4-door. And on the front, you've got mag locks and basically locking differentials, locking hubs. And it's under there that you can get that death wobble that some people worry about. And maybe that's what happened right here, and it sustained the death wobble. And then, unfortunately, we have a situation where we have lots of broken parts and pieces. There's a blown airbag. Looks like they got out in one piece. Actually, I know that fact. This was not a lethal accident, fortunately, but there it is. They're fun, they're stylish, hence the high resale value, and hence the fact that people will buy them again and again. And I'm not gonna lie, even though they're junk, I know that reliability wise they're not the greatest vehicle, and I'm the first to admit, because I had a TJ and they weren't that great. However, they're fun to drive. You get them with the manual gearbox, and they can actually be very, very cool. And I've even considered potentially buying one for myself again, even after owning one about 10 years back. And honestly, a certain level of practicality, because you can drive this summer, winter, take the top off, and do all kinds of fun and frivolity with this Jeep. And the next car on the list that people seem to buy over and over, and they'll keep buying, repeat, and buy the next generation of that particular model, is a Porsche 911. And why is that? Well, it's such a passionate group of owners that typically buy these, and they're always looking for that next greatest, and they keep looking for that next car that's a big upgrade, better performance, better design. And of course, this car is a classic example of a trade-in because this car was ready to go in. And let me show you how this car has seen its better days, and that's why this customer was motivated to trade up and get themselves a brand new one. I mean, we have some scratches and marks. We have a lot of debris up in the exhaust system there. Of course, it looked quite dirty, wasn't maintained all that well. We have a Carrera 4S right here. And look down here, we have road rash. Could have used a little paint protection film on there. Beautiful car. This is the S. This is the 3.8 liter flat 6. Down here, looks like it's kind of hit the ground a few times in a hard way. And of course, as we cycle to the front, more PPF missing right there. Of course, now we're starting to rust. That's a bad scene. So obviously when your car starts to rust like this, you start to lose a little interest in it. Obviously, it's missing some parts up front here as well. As we cycle back here, it just has a great stance to it. All the way along, these cars have an amazing flair, but clearly there's other things that needed some maintenance and love too. Right here, obviously, look at the windows on the outside of the window frame here. Means there's probably a door actuator. There's micro switches in there that usually mean the window didn't drop when they go and open it. Either that or the battery was dead when they tried to close this door. But either way, there's some things this car needs and some love it definitely desires. And the beauty thing is with Porsches, you can get flat 6s, anything from all the way the older ones, 3 liters, 2.7s, 2.4s, all the way up to the newer stuff, 3.8 liters, 4-liter engines. Lots of great options. Turbocharging, naturally aspirated engines. There's lots for the picking. Autos, dual clutches, as well as manuals. I mean, there's lots of choices, and as soon as your car starts to show its better days, you often get the itch for the next best thing. And the next one is one of the biggest brand loyal type vehicles, is what's parked right behind me here. Yeah, well, what is it? Well, it's obviously a pickup truck, which obviously, if you need a truck, you need a truck. So that alone is one of the key drivers for people buying pickup trucks. But let's take a quick look here and understand what it is about this one specifically. Of course, we're looking at the latest and greatest by GMC here. Of course, you've got tow hooks on the front. You've got big, beautiful wheels on the front. This one's a Duramax turbo diesel, and it's the Elevation. So it's sort of a mid-level fit and finish. Of course, what we have is quick access to touch and get in. Of course, beautiful little mirrors, smaller, not the best for towing duty, but then we have this great little overhang here. Now you can get a sliding rear window, which makes it luxurious. You can get sunroof on some of these vehicles. Stepping points here to get in if you got to reach up into the box here because you might be a little shorter. Of course, you can tow a lot of weight with this, especially with the diesel. You've got these great little exhaust tips right there, and look at the rear tail lights. Obviously, but it still looks like a Chevy pickup truck should look. Obviously, you have running boards here all the way down, and of course an interior that's just moderate. This one, like I said, is mid-level, not the highest level, but you can get leather interior and all the fit and finish you could ever dream of in a modern day luxury vehicle. And the beauty is, these pickup trucks come in many different forms. Throughout the generations, you get V6 engines, straight 6 engines. You can get V8s like 5.3 liters, 6.2 liter V8s. You can also get diesel engines like you're seeing in a Duramax right here. So there's lots of different forms and configurations, transmissions, for example, as well. You also have the Allison transmission, which is one of the workhorses for the diesel and is a perfect matchup for tow haul duty. And sure, the 5.3 had an issue with that cylinder deactivation, which caused premature failure of some engines, and of course carbon buildup were some problems. We had the infamous lifter rocker problem that were some of them were breaking off in 6.2s and the 5.3s. These trucks are really popular, and Chevy pickup truck owners are some of the most loyal vehicle owners that you'll ever find anywhere. Guaranteed, if you find a Chevy pickup owner, they'll probably buy another one, and then another one, and then another one, and they'll own Chevy pickup trucks all their life. And so pickup truck owners are some of the most loyal owners of any manufacturer, any branding. Of course, if you're a Dodge owner, you buy Dodges. If you're a Ford owner, you buy Fords. If you're a Chevy or GMC owner, that's what you buy. You typically buy one after the next. When that one wears out 10 years later, you buy the next. That one wears out 10 years later, you buy the next. That just seems to be the way they are. And if you were asking anybody who drives a Chevy or a GMC pickup truck what their next vehicle will be, I almost guarantee you 9 times out of 10, it'll be another Chevy or GMC pickup truck. And with all of that said, right there, check it out. Absolutely, that's this year's 2023's recommended vehicles, the ones that I like, the ones that I think are hot, special, and quite unique. You better check that out. You're gonna find something interesting in there. Hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.